Hello, my name is Dahlia and welcome to the Passover workshop. Well as working for the Ashmolean, I also am part of the Jewish community and I'm really excited because this month is the Jewish festival of Passover, or Pesach as we call it in Hebrew. And my favorite part has always been the Seder meal, where we eat special foods and tell the story of Pesach well into the night. And one of these special foods we eat is this flat bread called matzah. But why do we eat matzah? Well, that's a great question. And Pesach is all about questions. Well, you'll have to listen to the story to find the answer. We're also going to be making this rather fabulous matzah basket. And last of all, as a treat, I will show you a mysterious object from the Ashmolean that's got something to do with Pesach, but also to do with postcards. You'll work it out. Right, I think it's time to gather our materials. Follow me to the table. So this is what you're going to need. First, a couple of sheets of A4 paper. It could either be plain, but I'm going to use coloured ones. You also need a pencil to mark things out with, scissors and glue stick, some sort of ribbon or string, some colours to decorate with. You need something to make a hole with. Either just use a pencil, or if you happen to have a hole puncher, that's great. And lastly, any scrap coloured paper. I've got some yellow here that will be really handy, but you could use plain paper as well. Right, let's pause there and get on with the Pesach story. So, I want to take you on a journey back to ancient Egypt, to the time of the pharaohs. Jewish people tell the story how they were slaves in Egypt. Life was tough, and with hard labor they had to build the store cities for Pharaoh with no escape. But a great leader, Moses, emerged, and God told Moses to go and confront Pharaoh. "Let my people go," Moses said, "and release them from slavery." And you can guess what Pharaoh said: no. So God tried to change Pharaoh's mind by sending horrid plagues upon Pharaoh. Plagues like thousands of frogs, lice, darkness. But did it change Pharaoh's mind? "Let my people go." And Pharaoh said no. So God sent more plagues, and eventually Pharaoh was on his knees and said, "Right, I've had enough. Be off with you. Go and take all the Jewish people with you." So the Jewish people that night packed in a terrible hurry. What would you take? Absolutely, food. But they didn't have time for their dough to rise to make nice soft bread. They threw their dough on their packs and fled into the desert, where they patted the dough and baked it to take with them on their journey to freedom. And I think you've guessed why Jewish people eat this flatbread matzah. Yes, it's to remind us of our freedom, our bread of freedom, but also matzah is tough, and it reminds us of the toughness of slavery and reminds us that still there are many people having a tough time today. Well, I think it's time to start on our craft activity and make this matzah basket. Follow me back to the table. Right, to start with, we're going to take our 2 sheets of A4 paper. Now remember, you can pause the video at any time. I'm going to go quite quick and take a few shortcuts. So put them one on top of the other and measure about 3 finger widths in, or maybe 4 if you've got little fingers like that. Okay, can you see that? It should just about fit a matzah in if you have it. By the way, if you don't have matzah, you could use this basket for something else. Okay, so now we're going to fold along that mark to make a line like that, like so. Can you see that? There we go. And then we're going to cut off the excess, what we don't need, like that. So now we've got the width of our matzah basket. Now we're going to take the 2 sheets and we're going to make a plus sign and try and get them in the middle. You can measure if you like, but I'm just going to use my eye. I think that's about right. So now I'm going to make a mark so I know where it is at the top and the bottom. I can even make a mark at the side just so I remember where to put it back to. There we go. Right, let's get some glue on this part here in the middle. So I get my glue stick. You can use as much glue as you like. I haven't got much left. We're all having to make do, aren't we, in lockdown? There we go. And we're going to glue the other sheet on top, measuring it back to the same place. Lovely, like so. That'll do. Brilliant. So now we're going to make the sides. So to make the sides, we're going to fold in, and then we're going to fold the top out just a little bit to make a pretty edge. There we go. Do the same for each one. Fold in and then out. By the way, you might be wondering why we have square matzah. Well, that's just the shape it comes out of the factory. But do you know that traditional matzahs or matzot are round, and you can still get delicious hand-baked round ones? And in fact, in some Jewish communities, they make their own matzot by hand. Right. So there we go. We've got the 4 sides. Well, we've got to now make a hole to keep them together. Now you can use a pencil and just make a hole like that through the 2 parts, or you can use a hole puncher. I'll just get mine. So here we go. So push it in quite a bit if you're using a hole puncher. Don't worry if you don't get it right first time. You can always make a hole again. So that's 2. Another 2. Oops, another 2. I think that I just got that one in. And the last 2. So remember to do it on both bits of the paper. So you're going over the fold. There we go. And now for some decoration. This is a matzah basket, so I think we should have a matzah pattern on it. Now we could put our pattern here, but I think it might dirty the food, so we're going to put it on the outside. Now you could just draw a matzah pattern on, or you can put some on some paper and stick it on. That's what I'm going to do. But let's have a close look at the matzah so we can understand what the pattern looks like. Can you see the brown bits which have been baked in the oven? You can also see these holes here, and that's we put in holes in the matzah to stop it rising. So it really is an unleavened flat bread. Right, so I'm going to get my bit of paper, make sure it's nice and narrow so that it doesn't cover the holes. I think mine's narrow enough. You could always chop it. And then I'm going to fold a bit over to decide how wide it is so it just fits in there. And I'm going to make 4 of them. So while I am doing the patterns of the matzah and the folding and the cutting, I thought I'd sing you a song. And this is a song that we sing at the Seder meal, and the children sing it to the parents, and it's a question song. I'm going to sing the first part in Hebrew, and then I'll sing you a translation. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol haleilot, mikol haleilot. Why is this night unlike other nights, unlike other nights, unlike other nights? For we may not eat bread, but matzah instead. Yes, matzah instead. Yes, matzah instead. For tonight is the night. Yes, tonight is the night. We eat matzah for our bread. Yes, tonight is the night. Yes, tonight is the night. We eat matzah instead. So that's the Ma Nishtana song that we sing at the meal, the question song, and it's got lots of other questions and answers about how Passover is different from a regular night. So we're going to stick our matzah on here at the bottom to make sure it doesn't get in the way of the holes, so around the outside. Let's put a bit more glue on. I don't think I put quite enough glue on. There we go. Now what we're next going to do, which I'm going to leave up to you because I haven't got time, is you can actually decorate the edges of your matzah basket. There we go. So there's our delicious matzah around the edge. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what you could do if you've got time. See, I've put some silver moons on there because Pesach is at full moon. It's always at full moon, the festival. Or I could write matzah on there. I could even draw the pyramids and the plagues like the frogs. You could tell the story around the edge. I'll leave that up to you. Right, so once you've done the decoration, you can tie them together, and I'll show you how to do that with one of them. A simple way to do it is to put the two holes together to save time. Can you see that? And then put the string through like so. There we go. And you can tie a bow. And do the same with another side. I'll show you one more time so you get the idea. So you need 4 pieces of string, each one about double the length of your hand. There we go. Put the 2 sides together, back to back. And then, oops, you can thread it through and tie the bow. And you can do the same to each side, but to save time, here is one I made earlier. So I think it's time now to follow me back and we're going to look at that mystery object. So I really wish I could see your fantastic matzah baskets. Mine will be taking pride of place at the Seder table, where we'll be telling the story of Pesach and eating those special foods like matzah. And this year will be a bit different though, and we're thinking of our friends and family who would normally join us. So I haven't forgotten about the mystery object at the Ashmolean, which has got something to do with Pesach, but also to do with postcards we send. That's the clue. Follow me to the Ashmolean, and we're traveling 2,500 years back. So what are we looking at? See if you can work it out. What's it made of? Is it complete? Brilliant. It's a piece of broken old pot, or what we call a potsherd. And what's special about this bit of broken old pot? Yes, it's got writing on it. This isn't English, this is actually Aramaic, which is close to Hebrew. In fact, I recognize some of the letters. I think that's a sh and that's a l. But how is it like a postcard? You're right, it's a note. People didn't have easy access to paper or papyri. Pots were free and you could write on them. And this was a note that was sent to a Jewish family living on an island called Elephantine in the River Nile in Egypt. Now, this was a long time after slavery. These Jewish people were free. But what exactly does it say? Let's have a look. Now, you can freeze and read the exact translation, but I just wanted to tell you this is really exciting. This is a look into everyday Jewish life 2,500 years ago, where maybe the dad is asking, are the children okay? Is the baby okay? Can you get some bread together? But most excitingly, read this. It says, let me know when you will be celebrating Pesach or Passover. And this is actually the oldest mention of Pesach outside the Bible. How exciting! Well, I wonder how this Jewish family was celebrating Pesach that long ago. Who knows? Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's workshop, learning about the story of Pesach, making the basket, and seeing that incredible Passover potsherd. So, thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to wish you all a happy spring and a happy Passover or Chag Sameach for those who are celebrating. Goodbye.